One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. To let me from the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart steel and a spirit unbroken, he rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow, he takes his step, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Whistles report and paves his way. More legend in the making, day by day.
Man, oh man, it is freaking Friday and I'm feeling good. Shit. Much love, honor, and respect, everyone. Hopefully everyone's having a fantastic morning, evening, afternoon, wherever the hell you guys are tuning in from. Much love, honor, and respect to you guys, man. I very much appreciate you guys. We got a lot to get through today. Obviously, you guys see the title of what's going on here. Iran launches drones at Israel, and of course, Trump's going to be planned to meet with the Security Council. And listen, we have a lot of the kind of updates and unraveling of what's happening currently right here in the landscape. So I'm going to give you guys kind of a lead up from what's happened and what's been reported here in the last 12 hours. So bear with me on that. So there's a lot to get through. And believe it or not, I guess 200 Israeli fighter jets kill Iran top leaders. Iran vows deadly revenge. Iran launches more than 100 drones towards Israel, and that was 8 hours ago. And then, of course, Trump urges Iran to make a deal before it's too late. Quote, chance after chance. Damn, dude. So it's about to get crazy with this. But before we get into it, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys come in and hit that like button, man. I very much appreciate it. It's free to do so. And you know what else is free? Is hitting that subscribe button, because it's also free, man. Please consider becoming a member, starting only at $2.99 a month. We're making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but this is exactly how we get to speak the way that we speak, and we never have to cater to views around here for payment, right? We're 100% funded by the Breakfast Club. Yeah. Yes, sir. Little side note, follow my Instagram right here at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as, Millennial Food Time and all of the good shit behind the scenes of the show. So make sure you guys direct message me right here. And if you guys are, not a part of the Discord yet, make sure you guys grab the link from Naomi in the chat. She has the link, and we also have the link in the description box below for everybody in the playback. Okay, and last but not least, of course, every super chat, super sticker, gift and membership signups, all of these things are, of course, going to be presented live onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut, we have these platforms right here that you guys can donate to, and of course, I'll read out your message and everything that you guys have to send. Yes, sir. And trust me, this helps out a lot more. I'm just saying, because you guys are sending, let's just say you guys sent $100 on YouTube. Well, that's 30% right off the rip. So that's 70. But if you do it from an iPhone, they take a 30% cut too. So that's even, I don't understand how they get away with this kind of shit. But so that's 60% going to platforms and 40% going to the creator. I really don't understand why it's got to be so, ruthless out here. But anyways, All right. Good morning to everybody. We got Snark up in the building. Good to see you, by the way. It's been a minute. Good morning to you as well as happy Friday. We got brother Steve Easy as well as Naomi up in the building. We got Sick Bastard. We got brother Warland as well. Good to see you guys, man. We got brother Dean over there in Israel. We got Not Straight Jacket saying we're cooked. Yeah, dude, it's crazy times right now. We got Mount High. Bro, you know that I've got myself rolled up. I'm ready to go. And because of what we're talking about tonight or this morning, we've got this right here. I'm not waiting for tonight. I'm getting right on it. You know what I mean? Just getting right. We're going straight to it. So we're going to have a good time. That's right. Like, see, my homie knows right here. Like button and left-handed tobacco all around. Yes, sir. But good morning to everyone, man. Good morning, good morning. Let me go ahead and scroll down. We got brother Gary, man. Good morning to you as well as Shadow. Good to see you as well, man. Let's see. We got Shadow coming in, gifting out a membership, by the way. I very much appreciate that, kind sir. Dropping it like it's hot, man. I very much appreciate that. Frederick Frame, good morning to you as well as Tiffany. Shit. Good morning to you guys. All right, we're caught up. All right, we're good. Yep. All right, we're good. So we're going to bring up this screen right here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and, of course, skip through a lot of the bullshit because these are consolidated things. There's a few things in here that are consolidated, and they're kind of lengthy. So I'm going to be skipping ahead a little bit as we go. You guys know how I do it. You guys know my style. We'll make sure we don't prolong any situations or anything like that. Once we get the information, we're pretty much booking on to the next. Now, we have like 2 or 3 of these stories that are somewhat short, like 2, 3, 4 minutes long, so nothing too big of a deal. But anyways, real quick, we got Carney's Ride coming in with the 8 months, man, saying likes from Mike. Yeah, that's... You guys can hit the like button. You guys don't have to like that, this crazy chaos that's going on right here with Israel and Iran. But you guys can like it for me and my takes, man. I very much appreciate that. And thank you, Brother Carney, for the 8 months, man. As an officer, by the way. So I very much appreciate that. We got Mark up in the building as well. Good morning to you, and happy Friday.
All right, welcome back in
Let's
Live
do this.
Now. I'm Austin Westfall. You've been looking at a live image, Jerusalem, on what's now Friday morning. Iran's supreme leader has vowed to retaliate for Israel's attack. By the way, it's about 6:48 in the morning, Israel Standard Time. We've been talking about the developing situation with our experts and analysts. Joining us now is Michael Makovsky. He's the CEO and founder of Jinsa. Michael, thanks for coming on. A lot to discuss. Still a lot to learn tonight. Your initial reaction. You and I were talking a little bit offline.
Now, in full transparency, this came out 10 hours ago. So this is the very first report that I could get my hands on from when this happened, okay? This was the very first thing that hit, and then, of course, I have it all the way through until current right now.
And you said more than likely for you, it is going to be a long night because of the developing situation there. Your initial reaction to what we're seeing play out in Tehran and more.
Okay, I think, first of all, thank you very much, Austin, for having me. First of all, I think the one initial headliner is this has been a very aggressive
Brother SNS, good morning.
Spread that clearly took the Iranians by surprise because the Israelis have managed, it seems like, to kill a lot of their senior leadership, nuclear scientists, Revolutionary Guard leaders, defense military leaders. They've also now, I think, also hitting nuclear facilities. They're doing this in waves, and I think so far it's been very successful and aggressive.
Well, it's not just the nuclear facilities, and that's what some people were going, well, it's just the nuclear facilities, right? No, it's also their leaders, too. It's targeted attack.
We expect, at this point, you see the banner on your screen, an Israeli official has told Fox,
Brother
we're
Slim.
just getting started. Michael, if Israel has already took a big swing...
That's crazy. So, Israeli official spoke to Fox and said, we are just getting started. Yeah, we know.
What more could they possibly target? By the way, before you answer that, let me just make clear what we're seeing on our screen. It's not live. These are videos we saw when the attack happened. So this is some of the initial video that was coming out of the region of the blasts themselves. What more can happen from the IDF's point of view, Michael?
I think the Israelis have made clear, Prime Minister Netanyahu has made clear that they have a lot to do. I think there are a few objectives here. I think, and obviously the immediate issue is to hit the nuclear facilities. That's the most vital thing because the Iranian nuclear program has advanced so far that they feel that if they don't hit it very soon, that it will be too late. And it's not just
that they're allowing them too much time to create a nuclear weapon. Right. I understand. I mean, so it was a double targeted attack: nuclear facilities and political figures.
Nuclear facilities. It's also ballistic missiles.
Miss Lotus, good morning.
As Netanyahu pointed out, they plan to develop thousands of these going forward. Those alone, even with conventional bombs, could do tremendous damage to a small country like Israel. So I think there's that obvious, I think, objective. And we don't know yet about the reports of all the nuclear facilities. I saw a report at least that Natanz was hit, but we don't know. They got a lot of facilities, I think, that but I also think, stepping back, we should remember this war began on October 7th, a year and a half ago. It was begun by Iranian proxies with Hamas initiating the barbaric attack on Israel. Then you had the next day Hezbollah, Iran's main proxies, then chiming in and starting its war of attrition. And Israel settled that last fall when they decapitated the Hezbollah leadership and destroyed most of its weapons cache. But they have an account to settle with Iran, and that's been out there.
That's a wild image right there. Shit. That's a targeted strike right there. Glare 1%er, what's up, my man? Good morning to you, kind sir, and happy Friday. Saying they all don't ask the most important question: why should America care? Yes, you're right. You're right. And here's the thing that I worry about, because I think a lot of you guys know that somehow, some way, we're going to end up getting wrapped up in this. This is what I'm worried about. Obviously, if it were up to me, I'm like, let Israel do what Israel wants to do. That's on them. If they want to make that call, they can make that call. If they want to move that chess piece that way, they can make that move, whatever. But it has nothing to do with us. But magically, you know that we're going to be involved. And that's what I really hope this administration does a good job of protecting the American citizen first.
And that's been outstanding. And I think they're starting to do that now. And I think that's also why they're hitting the leadership more than maybe people expected. And when I say people, I mean even the Iranian leadership. I don't think they expected it. And I think they have found that a decapitation approach worked with Hezbollah. Iran's obviously a serious country, but they're going after the leadership. And they want to make sure that the Iranians, they want to make sure that not only do they do a lot of damage to Iran militarily in their nuclear program, but that Iran won't be able to reconstitute that program so easily after.
We likely aren't talking tonight if it weren't for Iran's nuclear program. What do we know about the progress they've made in recent years?
That we know. I mean, there are different reports, but basically they have enough enriched uranium to make many bombs. Netanyahu said tonight they could have enough enriched uranium to produce 9 bombs, nuclear bombs today. Some people would say maybe even more. Over a period of a month, they'll able to produce a lot more nuclear bombs. So they've been enriching that. And then there was a recent IAEA, International Atomic Energy report that was pretty damning on the Iranians recently. So I think the one question mark on their program was how far they were on weaponization. So they have enough fuel to make a bomb very quickly, but could they weaponize it? And there's debates about how far along they were. But I think Israel's attack was less about the timing of exactly where they were in weaponization and more about what Israel perceived as its opportunity to hit. They did a lot of damage to the Iranians in October in retaliation to an Iranian strike on Israel. They knocked out a lot of their advanced air defense systems, such as their S-300. So the Israelis saw that the Iranians were rebuilding their air defense capability and their ballistic missile capability. So they feel there was a crunch time to hit them before they were able to reconstitute that. I do believe that there was a difference between the Israeli view of the Iranian progress and the U.S. view, but this is why I think Israel was hitting now, because of opportunity.
Shit. What's up, brother Steve Posey? And he's got to head to the doctor's office, man. That sucks. Well, hey, man, I very much appreciate you wishing us good morning and all that, man, and the Breakfast Club. Make sure you guys hit that like, he says, and light it up. Yes, sir, absolutely. We'll do it in your honor.
How do we know how much progress they've made if they're so secretive and it's so difficult to get reliable information out of Iran? How do we reliably know how much progress they're making?
It's a very good question. I mean, I don't know.
Hit that like button, everybody. Let's make sure we get them likes up. I very much appreciate that.
I mean, there are a lot of experts. I have some colleagues who are like that. We could assess things based on, mostly what we are able to determine more is based on, what we have generally focused on is how much enriched uranium and at what level they have. The IEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, just put out some information on that. But you know what? You're right. There's things you got to assume we don't know. We don't know what we don't know, and they might have even more.
News that they're just getting started.
Yep.
One thing that I asked our guest before you is, how is it that the IDF is able to go into a country like Iran, strike at the heart of the country? Can you talk to us about Israeli intelligence capabilities? The IDF just...
I want to see this.
Guys
like Israel and their intelligence.
Look, Iran's...
No question about it.
Okay.
We just got this in, and I had just asked you about Iran's nuclear capabilities. The IDF just posted this. The full thing gets cut off on our screen, but I have the entire tweet in front of me. I'm going to read it for you. The IDF says, declassified, Iran's nuclear plans. Recent intelligence shows Iran is nearing the point of no return in its race toward a nuclear weapon. The regime is producing thousands of kilograms of enriched uranium alongside decentralized and fortified enrichment compounds in underground fortified sites. This program has accelerated significantly in recent months, bringing the regime significantly closer to obtaining a nuclear weapon. They continue. The Iranian regime has been working for decades to obtain a nuclear weapon. The world has attempted every possible diplomatic path to stop it, but the regime has refused to stop. The state of Israel has been left with no choice. The IDF has the obligation to act in defense of the civilians of Israel and will continue to do so. That's the social media post in full, and they looked like they attached a graphic to this tweet as well, just to give a visual representation of some of the progress that's been made. This leads me to one of the biggest questions that I get all the time from viewers.
Hold on, I want to see these images. I want to see these images right here.
And exploded there, and it will pretty much destroy much of the country. I
wow.
think there's no question that
those are super targeted. Yeah, man, that's so wild how they can smoke a person that's, you know, in the middle of a skyscraper.
That's pretty much true, but also just them having it gives them a nuclear umbrella to just conduct all sorts of awful things. Look what they've been able to do in recent decades. This regime in Tehran has got to go down as one of the worst regimes ever. First of all, they've killed or maimed hundreds of American soldiers. They've look what they do to their own people, their women, what they do to their own people.
That's none of our business, homie. That's none of our business. These are our borders. This is what we're in control of. What they do on their borders and inside their borders, let them fucking do it. Dude, I honestly don't give a fuck what you guys are doing over there. I could care less.
They have two main enemies, Israel.
As long as you're not attacking us actively, then we're good.
United States. And they always call us the big Satan and Israel the little Satan. If they have a bomb, then it's not just what they could do, but other countries in the region are going to get the bomb, and you have a nuclear proliferation. If you thought the Middle East was a tinderbox before, it'd be a lot worse. I think also there's something that's important for Americans to understand. Many U.S. presidents every president for about the last 30 years have said we will not allow a nuclear Iran, Democrat or Republican, and every president vowed to prevent such a thing. Well, when it came down to it, it was only Israel that was willing to do that.
It is Friday the 13th. Oh shit.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Emotional, damn it! Stupid.
Shit, they did it on Friday the 13th.
I think, if I may, Israel also made these warnings, and I think they had to do something, not only because they had to destroy Iran's nuclear facilities, and not only because of...
Honestly, I look at that shit, I'm like, dude, if you can get smoked from this middle of a skyscraper, that's like next level. That's some next level shit. It is. But we got Tats over there across the pond. Good morning to you, or good afternoon to you over there in the UK. Very glad to have you in here with us.
October 7th.
A lot of shit going down.
But to maintain their own credibility in an awful neighborhood. Americans should also think about that. And I actually would hope, so far the U.S. has acted like a bystander in this. You have Republican senators, some Democrats who've been supportive of Israel, but Secretary Rubio made it clear this is an Israeli thing, not an American. We can't act like a bystander. Our own credibility is at stake. And I think unless we're seen as standing by Israel, I think that it will be a terrible signal.
Yo, Path Killer, good morning.
Of the lack of credibility to the Chinese and the Russians and our other allies that will be seen as not standing by a close ally on an issue that actually, as Steve Witkoff said, it poses an existential threat to the United States. So I'd like to see a change in U.S. policy on this. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but I think it's important for Americans to understand what's at stake for the United States. This is not an Israeli-only issue. This affects our security.
No. It should be absolutely an Israeli problem only, but it's not. It's definitely not. And he is speaking truth on that. That's the reality. Now, reality versus what it should be or whatnot is different. That's the sad thing is I think that we're definitely going to be wrapped up in this, sadly enough.
And it affects our credibility and position in the world.
In your opinion, what changes are worth talking about?
I mean, what should we do differently? Well, look, I would have liked to see, and we still could do it. I'd like to see us, frankly, collaborate with the Israelis and hit some of the tougher.
Oh my God, dude. Are you serious?
Stupid.
That's an L take, homito.
Targets that maybe that our bombers are more able to.
Wait. Are you an American or what? Who are you then? Like, I just don't understand why he gives a shit.
Destroy than the Israeli bombers are. If we didn't want to participate in operations, so far it's clear the president doesn't want to, it seems like. But even if we don't, there are ways we could help the Israelis with intelligence, with air refueling. Certainly, we got to help them as much as we can with protecting their airspace. So the Iranians, as you mentioned earlier, they're going to seek revenge.
And they already have just on a super small scale, seeked a little bit of revenge already, but this is on a very small scale. But let me go ahead and bring up this next story, this next image on this. So Israel will face, quote, severe punishment for strikes, Iran's leader says.
Of course,
oh boy.
One of the chief questions that comes during any event like this is how will Iran respond? Dr.
Hansen,
has
good morning.
Been discussing this with us all evening. He's still here, alone as always. It's good to see you. Thanks for being generous with your time tonight.
Man, this guy, he looks like he should be working, some weird office job, you know what I mean? For sure. I don't know why you got to be wearing a headset like that, homito.
You and I were talking a little bit offline, and there's some information coming through about the potential of some sort of retaliation, and it might come soon. Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, as always, Austin, nice to see you. So there's a couple of different reports that are coming in. In Israel, there are repeated
What's up, Hardwire? Good morning.
blasts that are coming out that Israeli citizens should prepare for Iranian retaliation within the next 2 hours. Israel is preparing for the retaliation in the next 2 hours. In the past, we have seen that either through Israel's spy network or through other intelligence agencies, Israel has usually known when an Iranian attack is coming. The last time that the attack happened in November, Israel put out an announcement several hours before the attack from Iran saying Israelis should be prepared, something big may be happening. So very likely.
Yo, that is a W fucking comment. Rhyme Stranger saying, dude definitely wears whitey tighties. Yeah, that's a W comment.
That's why Israel's saying in the next 2 hours. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen. Iran is not going to go according to Israel's plan, but very likely we are going to see that retaliation soon. Something that is important also that the Israeli military, the IDF, just tweeted moments ago, it said that not a single anti-aircraft missile was fired at Israeli planes during their attacks thus far. Now,
definitely the almost like the Jesus sandals, you know what I mean, with the socks. Yeah, for sure.
Iran certainly would not have stood by and tried to withstand Israel's attack. So that tells us something about Israel's intelligence, that it knew exactly where the air defenses were placed and how to bypass them. It also tells us something about Israel's previous attacks that we know all targeted the air defenses in Iran. But most importantly, what that tells us is up until now, we have seen the vast array of Israeli attacks against Iran, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but we have yet to actually see any Iranian response, not just in lack of attacking Israel so far.
No, I mean, we're going to see a response I already got. Let me go ahead and see what the Associated Press came out with.
There's a lot of information
this
gets sent out from just about every direction imaginable. The AP putting this out moments ago, they say Supreme Leader Khamenei is saying that Israel, as I said, will face severe punishment and will face severe punishment after it launched strikes that targeted the country's nuclear program and left the leader of Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard dead. In recent weeks alone, a thread that we've been following closely have been the Iran nuclear negotiations that have been taking place between the U.S. and Iran.
Yep, and that's something that I've reported on myself as well.
The round of those talks were expected to take place this weekend. President Trump.
Correct. And it was still ongoing, even though, yes, believe it or not, the U.S. did know that Iran was going to be attacked by Israel. They did have a little bit of a heads up on that. But, yeah, I mean, we're going to get into all of this here in a minute.
If I'm misremembering this, but President Trump had previously said that he did not want Israel to strike Iran's nuclear infrastructure.
He asked him not to, I believe, and it was because they're in the middle of negotiations, you know?
Sure. He said instead that he wanted to go the diplomatic route. He wanted to talk it out. He wanted to go the negotiation route. Is
good on Trump.
A sign that they are giving up on those efforts?
Good on Trump, by the way, for not just instantaneously hopping on that shit, because it's easy to do that. It's very easy to do that, and he showed a lot of self-restraint by not.
Or is there still a possibility that the talks continue, whether it be this weekend or some other time in the future?
So, you know, something I said earlier in the show about 2 hours ago when we were talking.
Nah, I'm not really interested in that. Let's go ahead and see images here.
He doesn't like it to actually come to war. Now, over the last week, we have seen a lot of reports that emerged within Israel and the United States about friction between Netanyahu, Israeli Prime Minister, and U.S. President Trump. With Trump telling Netanyahu to not escalate threats with Iran, that rhetoric is not helpful.
Oh, man, that rhetoric is not helpful. Well, that's what Netanyahu loves to do. He's got a crazy-ass rhetoric. I think we all can agree to that.
The United States will not back up Israel until carry on an attack until it is maxed out negotiations. Tonight, there were reports in Israel that was all a hoax, that actually that was part of subterfuge in order to fool Iran, to lull it into a false sense of security. Maybe that's true. But if we look at the statements of the State Department of the United States, they very quickly put out a statement saying that Israel acted unilaterally, that Israel acted by itself. The United States is not taking...
Right, exactly. And that's what the claim has been so far, that Israel acted on its own and not with the backing of the United States, like a signed-off mission. You know, that definitely did not happen. They acted unilaterally. There we go. All right, so now we're going to get into the next ordeal here. But before we do, we got to get the pocket watchers out here. You know what I mean? This is for you guys.
Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate some freaking
Shit. All right, so Iran launches more than 100 drones towards Israel, and this was reported by the IDF.
Those of you just tuning in and wondering why we have these vantage points of...
And this was 9 hours ago. So the first report was actually 10 hours ago, and then this came out 1 hour later. 1 hour later, dude.
Israel up on our screen with no audio. It's because we're watching the skies above Israel.
What up, neighbor guy? Good morning. Happy Friday.
Welcome back Live Now. I'm Austin Westfall. We've been following the developing situation in the Middle East. Israel has targeted Iran's nuclear sites tonight. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying that Israel targeted Iran's main enrichment facility and the country's ballistic missile program as well. They've also targeted some of the country's top nuclear scientists and officials. The breaking news of the hour, though, is that Iran has responded by launching more than 100 drones toward Israel. Jennifer Griffin confirms such. We've also seen it confirmed by the Associated Press as well. So something we're going to be doing for the next little while here is we're going to see if we can see anything in the skies above Israel. Last year, when Iran sent missiles toward Israel, the Iron Dome intercepted most of them. A good amount of the missiles also simply fell short. They didn't make it. So what we're going to be watching for, we don't know if we will see anything on any of these cameras. But what we do know is that Iran has launched more than 100 drones toward Israel in response for their strikes on Iran earlier in the day.
It's time, ladies and gentlemen.
Last year, there were 2 instances of Iran firing directly at Israel, and both times we did see interceptions from the Iron Dome. And so I'd be curious if some of these drones do make it toward Israeli airspace.
Shit, real quick, we got a trigger warning as well as Brother Dwayne Martin, man. Good morning to you, fine gentlemen out here.
Will we see the Iron Dome in action? Will we see the Iron Dome intercept some of these drones? Jerusalem on your screen, Haifa, which is in northern Israel, Tel Aviv, which is central Israel. One of the other updates we just got. is that Oman, the country of Oman, is condemning Israel's strikes on Iran.
Yo, Brother Dean, yes, it is a happy Friday, but it is happy Friday the 13th.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Don't mean to put a damper on nothing, but just be wary.
Oman
Just
is
kidding.
an important player because they are the ones that have been holding some of the talks, and they've been helping to mediate some of the nuclear negotiations that have been taking place between the U.S. and Iran. We did get a quote in from Oman's government. They say that Oman holds Israel responsible for this escalation and its repercussions and calls on the international community to take a clear and firm position to stop this dangerous approach, which threatens to exclude diplomatic solutions and undermine the security and stability of the region. Still up in the air whether or not...
Oh, shit. Hold on. That's not what I wanted here. Okay, let me see when this came out real quick. Okay, that came out 14 hours ago. Okay, so let me go ahead and now bring it to this. Okay, so we have 200 Israeli fighter jets kill Iran top leaders. Iran vows deadly revenge. And real quick, Dean was saying right there was the cameras that on the last story. Cameras were not in the right place. Drones were shot down over basically over the Syrian border. Wow. Thank you for the updates on all of that, Dean. I very much appreciate that. It's great to have that boots on the ground kind of context, dude. Seriously, thank you.
What you're looking at right now is a live look over Jerusalem as folks there are staying on alert, essentially hoping to remain safe here after we've seen this back and forth between Israel and Iran. Now, if you are just joining us and kind of catching up here, I do want to go over just some of the basics. Israel launching a wave of strikes across Iran earlier today that targeted its nuclear program and military sites, killing at least 2 top military officers and raising the prospect of an all-out war between the two bitter Middle East adversaries. It appeared to be the most significant attack Iran has faced since the 1980s. The strikes came amid simmering tensions over Iran's rapidly advancing nuclear program and appeared certain to trigger a reprisal. Hours later, Israel's military said it had started intercepting Iranian drones launched in retaliation. That is estimated to be about 100 of those drones. I do want to take you out here to some comments that were made by the IDF as they explained exactly where...
Real quick, before we get to hear those comments. That's a W comment, Brother Steve Easy. I got to give you that. I got to give it to you.
For years, the Iranian regime has called for the destruction of the state of Israel, planning and advancing concrete military plans to do so. Over the past few months, intelligence has shown that Iran is closer than ever to obtaining a nuclear weapon. This morning, the IDF began preemptive and precise strikes targeting the Iranian nuclear program in order to prevent the Iranian regime's ability to build a nuclear bomb in the immediate time frame.
You know what? It kind of does. It kind of does. Trigger warning, but it's not. But it kind of does. It looks like kind of like the fake. Those flags look too fucking perfect. The shade, everything on it, like the way that it's just sitting there. I think that's what makes it look like that.
We have no choice. We are operating against an imminent and existential threat. We cannot allow the Iranian regime to obtain a nuclear weapon that would be a danger to Israel and the entire world. This operation is for our right to exist here, for our future and for our children's future. The State of Israel has the right and the obligation to operate in order to protect its people and will continue to do so. The IDF conducted significant preparations for this operation. We are well prepared both in defense and offense to defend ourselves. The IDF will continue to defend the State of Israel.
All right, so a very brief statement right there from the Israel Defense Forces posted on social media as we gather all of the details that are coming in to our newsroom and a lot of updates here.
They get shit done, and especially when people are like, nah, they ain't going to do that. Well, they fucking do.
For the past several hours, as all of this did...
Like, I bet Iran wasn't actually expecting that shit. You know what I mean? They were expecting it maybe from America, but... or having co-signed with America, with Israel, but nah, Israel alone?
We had Andrew Kraft and Austin Westfall, who were on the air at the time, again, watching it all unfold and bringing you all of the latest details. I do want to bring you just some of the video of the aftermath here. This is from just a couple hours ago. over in Iran after that preemptive strike that was fired by Israel. Again, you can see the flashing lights there and damage to several buildings. A lot to discuss here, so I do want to bring in Ruth Wasserman-Landi, a former member of the Knesset, and she does have several different titles and wears several different hats, joining us right now. Thank you so much, Ruth, for taking the time to be here. I know all of this is developing, and we want to make sure, of course, that you do stay safe.
Why are you holding the phone?
Thank you for having me on board. And yes, it's quite a challenging time, but
set the
please
phone
God,
down.
Israel will persevere.
And can you explain to me?
This is not TikTok, lady. What are you doing? Set the phone down like a normal person. Why you got that shit right up your fucking face? Come on, lady. Didn't one of the Fox producers say, you know, okay, sit down your phone. Don't touch it. Sit it down. And, you know, make sure you have a nice background.
Overall, the significance of all of this.
Absolutely. Iran, in fact, not Iran, the Islamic regime of Iran has made very, very clear over years that it wants to destroy the state of Israel, that it has an antagonistic and very challenging view about what should become of the state of Israel. And that is because it wants hegemony over the Islamic world. Having said that, that's only declarative. But in terms of capability, it's been building its nuclear arsenal for years. We've been warning this, the IAEI, in other words, the roof organization or the body that has been supervising, in inverted commas, the capabilities of Iran in the nuclear sphere, has only recently come out and unprecedentedly said that Iran has been hiding. We've been saying this for years, but the IAEI, that obviously there is no fear that it is biased towards Israel, has come out very, very recently and said that Iran has been hiding significant developments in terms of its nuclear capabilities. And Israel has also sought that information and, in fact, exposed it worldwide. And in coordination with the American administration, has done the universe a kind of I would say, a huge step towards humanity and taken out much of the capability of the Iranian regime, also as a gesture for the Iranian people that have been suffering for decades from this particular regime.
And I do want to pop this up on
real quick, trigger warning, just because she ended right there. Yeah, if you like normal Modelo's, dude, I promise you would love these chiladas. I get the variety pack. So it's a 12-pack. I guess you get 4 of each or 3 of each flavor. There's 4 different flavors. It's bomb as fuck, dude. I get them all the time. Shit, Naomi. Very much appreciate that. You ever drink Pacifico, Mike? I do once in a while. Usually it's when I'm with like other friends and stuff like that and they have it. I'll drink it, but it's not like my favorite. Nah.
Your screen, because this right here is actually coming in from the Israel Defense Forces. They provided us this video kind of showing how all of this did play out, the areas that were struck by the IDF and other military there. You can see them highlighted in red, but what you're going to see in a second are a few of the fatalities there that were reported. Now, again, this is coming from the IDF here, and the actual statement they released said, quote, "We can now confirm that the Chief of Staff of the Iranian Armed Forces, Commander of the IRGC, and the Commander of Iran's Emergency Command were all eliminated in the Israeli strikes across Iran by more than 200 fighter jets. These are 3 ruthless mass murderers with international blood on their hands. The world is a much better place without them." Want to get your take on that, especially the death of the commander of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard?
So this is a very important point that you make, because as you had very cleverly mentioned, this is very precise and very, very specific. The Israeli government, the Israeli people, the Israeli military has absolutely nothing against the Iranian people, on the contrary. But it has to take out those people that threatened and actively were involved and threatened and built the capabilities against not only Israel, but Israel was just the first step. But in fact,
what's up, Gunpowder Nitro? Good morning.
The West in general, and the strikes, if you notice, were very, very precise against those people in the first steps of this, I would say, kind of campaign. And if you notice in the pictures, these are blocks of flats. Not only the entire block was not taken out, in other words, the neighbors were left safe, but the very specific flats or apartments of those people were taken out. And you can see that in the pictures that you are showing online, which is exactly the point. The Israeli government is out to protect itself and its civilians and its citizens. There's no politics here. There's no left, there's no right. This is a humanitarian and a humane step in order to preserve the people of Israel and the state of Israel. And this is what we all feel.
Put down your phone, lady. Oh my God, I don't understand this chick that is holding her phone. Put it down. This is not TikTok, yo. This is not TikTok live.
Very, very significantly as a mother with the children in the safe room. We are not moving from our homes. This is what I can tell the world. The world is certainly a better place.
On that note, can you explain what it's like for folks right now that are there in Israel? Because again, 100 plus drones launched by Iran toward Israel in retaliation. It sounds as though the IDF is saying the drones were intercepted, but what is it like right now as folks do brace for the possibility of retaliation?
So first of all, we were awakened in the middle of the night. We were told to go into the safe rooms. Ourselves, our children, our dogs, whoever we need to keep safe, to make sure that we have water and so on. We were told later, and that's what we tell our children with a smile, trying to remain calm, that there will be a retaliation. There is an expectation of a retaliation. In fact, the number of drones that were sent exceed 100. And yes, we were told that they were intercepted. However, we do expect to have more of a retaliation. And therefore, the entire country is actually on its hind legs, awaiting for the retaliation and really taking care to be in near safe rooms.
What role at this point does it appear that the U.S. played in the coordination of this, the de-escalation?
I would like to hear her answer on this.
Before or after the strike, is there much of U.S. involvement, or does it appear that this is mostly what we're looking at, kind of an Israel operation?
So certainly this is an Israel operation. There was no cooperation on the ground or in the operation itself with the U.S. However, this is completely a concerted effort and a coordinated effort of two allies that are keen to protect the world.
Why do they got to do this shit?
Emotional damage.
Jesus.
The moderate Western world and those who want to...
Man.
Stupid.
Be allied with it.
I'm let
from
down.
Forces like the Iranian regime, again, not the Iranian people, but the Iranian regime. And there was full coordination. In fact, one could see many messages going out of the U.S. concerning their own personnel in embassies throughout the region, throughout the very, very wide region, and also other moves that were made on the ground by...
Yo, good morning, Rapid of Chaos.
U.S. forces in preparation, but not in an actual de facto effort in the operation itself. Perhaps that would come at a later stage.
And
yo, that's insane. Dean Savage, for everyone that doesn't know, Dean lives in Israel, and he lives real close to the Gaza border, like real fucking close, right there. We're sitting here watching the world talk about this and the news on TV here whilst listening to bombs being dropped over the fence. Cheers all, have another cold one, and smile. Dude, that's fucking crazy. Dude, I mean, huge salute to you, man. Because no one here, I'm just going to be honest, no one here actually can relate to any of that. No one. You know what I mean? Like, only you can actually fucking relate to that shit. So, massive love and respect to you, man. Because it's not your choice. You know what I mean? Like, what is going on? You're a citizen. You live there. And it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like you have no control in that aspect. So, I totally get it. And I feel bad for citizens always in any conflict, because it's not their fault. It's not the citizens' fault. It's the government. It's whatever government was, you know. Now, you can always blame who they voted. If they voted in a terroristic group, then yeah, that's an issue. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's where it gets wishy-washy, right?
A lot of questions.
But hey, man, major love and respect, man.
Obviously, all of this developing here at this hour, and you kind of touched on it, but my last question for you, I did want to get kind of your take on how Israel is making sure that civilians are not injured or killed. It does seem as though everything was done in a way that targeted the specific targets there, but I do want to get your take kind of overall.
So I can say as proudly as possible, you know, the Israeli government, the Israeli IDF, the Israeli people in general, as an Israeli and as a mother, not as a right-winger, a left-winger, or any other political stance, takes unprecedented effort not to hurt civilians in general. There is a huge, huge campaign against Israel in that sense, in all of its war efforts. But on the contrary, Israel takes unprecedented steps to try and not hurt civilians. And
you know what, Path Killer, that is such a fucking good idea. I don't know why I didn't do it. Dude, thank you for the call out. I definitely need to make one. That's what I need to do. Yeah. Naomi, definitely write that down.
Is very obvious to people who understand in warfare and to experts, not Jewish experts, not Israeli experts, but rather American, British, and other, that there is a kind of a consequence to this policy of not hurting civilians. Of course, God forbid, in a war, sometimes civilians get hurt, and that is a tragedy. But that is not only the policy, humongous steps are being taken and precautions not to hurt civilians, and the results are obvious, not those that are portrayed by the Israel haters and the demonstrators that are funded by Muslim Brotherhood, by Qatar, by Hamas and others, but by real statistics. The real statistics, not what is shown on Pallywood and others, show exactly the opposite. That yes, there are tragically people that are being hurt, but many, many precautions are being taken, and as few people as possible are to be hurt, and the results are obvious in this Iranian campaign.
What's up, Brother Frank? Good morning.
Last question for you here. I know I said the last one was the last question, but I did want to ask you what.
No, I'm not. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. All right, we got our. We're actually running good time right now, which is fantastic. Which I was actually worried about. So this is the latest right now, and I'm of course, let me go ahead and refresh and make sure I'm speaking correctly. I do actually have another update. Nice. So we have two things here, which is fantastic, because I was actually a little ahead of schedule, which I was actually impressed with. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and run into this. Trump urges Iran to make a deal before it's too late, quote, chance after chance. So this is going to be an interesting one, an ordeal right here. All right, here we go.
This is actually a Truth Social post that was just shared by Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary for the White House. Donald Trump saying, quote, I gave Iran chance after chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words to, quote, just do it. But no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just...
I know what you mean by that, Naomi. Like, yeah, usually flyers get handed out, but it's cool to be able to put it up as a picture on Discord, and I can show it on YouTube, you know what I mean? It's like the artwork. That's what I'm getting at. All right, I'm going to back this up so I can hear this whole thing.
I gave Iran chance after chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words to, quote, just do it. But no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipated, or were told, that the United States makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world by far, and that Israel has a lot of it with much more to come, and they know how to use it. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen. They are all dead now, and it will only get worse. There has already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make the slaughter with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire.
So now he's just forcing the table to negotiate. You know, like, hey, sit down at the table before it's too fucking late, and you're wishing you would have just made a deal.
No more death, no more destruction. Just do it before it is too late. God bless you all.
Damn.
And that is a post there from President Trump on Truth Social moments ago that was shared by White House press secretary.
So do you think Iran's going to make a deal with the United States? Or do you think that they're going to say, fuck you guys, and just all-out war goes out?
Caroline Leavitt. Now, as we continue to follow all of the latest developments, we are checking in with our different Fox affiliates to get their coverage. And Fox 5 New York does have Haley Fixler out there, so I want to pop up the audio and listen to her report.
There is a lot to get into, so let me break it down for you. So we know that early this morning, Israeli forces, they launched those airstrikes in Tehran. Officials say about 200 fighter jets were part of this operation, and they hit about 100 targets, all relating to its nuclear program. Iranian media is reporting the head of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, which was created after the Islamic Revolution, was killed in the attacks. Israeli officials say Iran had produced enough uranium for 9 atom bombs. Netanyahu says these strikes were critical to prevent countries from becoming victims of a, quote, nuclear holocaust.
We will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons. And Iran plans to give those weapons, nuclear weapons, to its terrorist proxies.
This was the very first thing that was put out, was Netanyahu coming out and speaking 15 hours ago.
Make the nightmare of nuclear terrorism all too real. The increasing range of Iran's ballistic missiles would bring that nuclear nightmare to the cities of Europe and eventually to America. Remember, Iran calls Israel the small Satan. It calls America the great Satan. Today, Israel has shown that we have learned the lessons of history. When enemies vow to destroy you, believe them. When enemies build weapons of mass death, stop them.
Now, there were talks that something like this could happen. Just yesterday, U.S. officials began...
Wow. No way. Dean, that's crazy news. Holy shit. Wow, I'm gonna have to.
Diplomats and
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Voluntary evacuations for military families in the region. President Trump
Probably
also
not.
urged Iran
Of course, it's not going to be out to us yet, but
negotiate a deal regarding its nuclear program, or quote, there could be a massive conflict. Officials say Israel also told them this was necessary for self-defense. Now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, in a statement, he says, quote, Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in the strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. However, Israeli forces, officials, they say that they presented the U.S. with evidence of Iran's efforts to make a nuclear bomb, and that this was done in coordination with the Americans. Take a listen.
I want to thank President Trump for his leadership in confronting Iran's nuclear weapons program. He has made clear time and again that Iran cannot...
Nope, we don't got it yet. Unfortunately, I just looked at all of the sources. I don't have it yet.
...have a nuclear enrichment program. Today, it is clear that Iran is just buying for time. It refuses to agree to this basic requirement of peaceful nations. That is why we have no choice but to act, and act now.
Now, just a little while ago, Trump actually posted on social media warning Iran to agree to a nuclear deal before there is, quote, nothing left. He also hinted that there might be additional attacks that are, quote, even more brutal. Now, back here at home, the NYPD says because of the escalations in the Middle East, out of an abundance of caution, they are deploying additional resources at Jewish and Israeli sites here in the city, and they are monitoring the situation.
Well, there's a huge population of, Jewish people there. I mean, they're targeted right now. I'm just being honest. They are being targeted. Okay, so this is the latest ordeal here. This came out 34 minutes ago. We're going to go ahead and present this now. It says, Israel smuggled drones, weapons into Iran ahead of strikes.
This is a live look over Tel Aviv there in Israel as folks are still on alert. Now, we are learning this morning that Israeli security officials say the country's...
no joke. I was in the shower this morning and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, if they use drones and not airstrikes, if they use drones, where did they fly these drones? Like, where did they launch them from? They had to have smuggled them in somewhere, like at least fairly nearby. And Tehran is the capital basically for Iran, and it's not necessarily right there on the edge, right there on the border. It's inland, so I was like, man, how'd they do that? Well, here's the answer. They smuggled them bitches into Iran.
Assad's spy agency actually smuggled weapons into Iran ahead of the strikes that were used to target its defenses from within. Two security officials spoke to the Associated Press to talk about the highly secretive missions. It was not possible, though, for the Associated Press to independently confirm the claims. The officials said that a base for launching explosive devices was established inside of Iran, and the drones there were activated during the attack to target missile launchers at an Iranian base near Tehran. They said Israel had also smuggled precision weapons into central Iran and positioned them near surface-to-air missile systems. They said it also deployed strike systems on vehicles. Both were activated as the strikes began to target Iran's defenses. Again, that is according to officials that spoke to the Associated Press.
Wow,
we do have
Dean.
several live images that we are showing you right now. This is out of Tel Aviv over in Israel. As you can see, for the most part right now, the sirens there are dying down. Things are remaining quiet, but we're keeping an eye on the situation after everything that has developed over the past several hours. Now, lots to discuss, no question.
What's up, brother Lee Lance? Good morning to you, kind sir.
I do want to head over to Israel and bring in Jonathan Schanzer, Executive Director of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. As always, Jonathan, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us.
My pleasure. Always good to be with you.
And first off, before we talk about the situation in general that has played out, I did want to ask you, because again, you're over in Israel. So explain what the situation is on the ground there.
It's remarkably quiet. We had a little bit of a jarring evening, somewhere around 3 o'clock in the morning local time here in Jerusalem. I first heard a siren sort of off in the distance, and it woke me up. And my first thought with this was probably just another Houthi missile that was coming in. These are usually one and done. But then my phone...
Isn't that crazy? Oh, to be woken up in the middle of the fucking night, to being like, it's probably just another Houthi missile. Just go back to bed. Go back to bed. It's just another Houthi missile being launched at us right now. It's okay. It's okay. Go back to bed. Like, that's fucking insane. There's no way. There's no way. That's fucking crazy, bro.
Started blaring, and I looked down at the messages, and there was something from the Home Front Command here in Israel, and they were saying that across the entire country, everyone was being told to go into shelter. So I'm at a hotel here in Jerusalem. We went into a stairwell, waiting for further instruction. We sat there for a good hour or so, and then actually went down to a protected space that's 3 stories below ground, sat there for a bit, and then we began to get news that it did not look like there was going to be an Iranian response. And so folks went up to their rooms and went about their business. I think everybody was a little jarred, probably a little tired.
Shit, what's up, brother Pablo? Good morning to you as well.
Life seems to go on right now. I see cars on the streets here in Jerusalem. I see people walking around. That's not what Home Front Command is I think, suggesting. They want folks to stay relatively close to their protected shelter areas. And to keep food and other things nearby in the event of an attack. But from what we can tell, what is being broadcast here and what is being broadcast in Iran, what we're seeing from around the world is that Israel carried out a remarkable attack last night. They neutralized a great number of the ballistic missiles that Iran had prepared to fire at Israel. They took out the drones that Iran had fired in response to the attack. But I think most importantly, from the Israeli perspective, they appeared to have thwarted a nuclear breakout. In other words, it appears that Iran may have decided that as talks with Donald Trump and Stephen Witkoff, that as those talks started to stall, that this was their time to break out for a bomb. And that was something that the Israelis were never going to let happen. They've been vowing to stop that for 15 years. And it looks like last night they put their money where their mouths have been. And that is that's the story now. Perhaps the only thing I could add is that there are a number of senior leaders of the Iranian military, of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, that have been eliminated as well. So there was a decapitation strike that took place as well. So again, a lot of chaos right now in Iran. I was seeing reports this morning that people are lining up trying to get food, trying to get there's a lot of panic there.
I'm sure
to what's happening here in Israel, and it's really quite a stark contrast.
And what you're looking at right now, you were just talking about that, but some of the top military officials that were killed there in the strike, it seems as though they were targeted specifically to minimize the damage, according to the IDF, and death of civilians, things of that nature. But how would you overall, and you touched on this, but how would you characterize the success of the strike, both tactically and strategically?
So, I mean, I think from the perspective of what they targeted, the people that they targeted in the regime, I think this was hugely important. Decapitation strikes. They went after top nuclear scientists. They went after people that were senior people in the nuclear program. They went after the military strategists. In other words, really the brain trust of the regime. I think that's important because it's so in chaos right now inside the Islamic Republic, and I'm not sure they know who is in charge or how to respond. They have struck the Natanz nuclear facility. From what I understand, it has not been destroyed, but that it has been crippled. That's important because we're probably looking at Israel perhaps having bought a year or more time in terms of a possible Iranian breakout. There are other strikes that are ongoing, multiple waves of strikes, and I understand that there may be strikes happening as we speak, with the Israelis, I think, refueling and sending those F-35s back out into Iranian airspace to attack more targets. But a lot of this also, Josh, is about destroying the ballistic missiles that were pre-positioned to be able to hit Israel. In other words, Iran had an attack plan. They had launchers on the western side of the country that would take less time to get to Israel. The launchers have been destroyed. A lot of the missile silos have been destroyed. I don't know how to quantify it yet because the Israelis are not quantifying it, at least not that I've seen, but they have taken out a lot of the offensive capabilities that the regime has, and it appears that they have set back the nuclear program and prevented a dash to a bomb. For me, I have to say, the big question is there are still facilities that are buried deep beneath the ground. And the Israelis, at least as I understand it, don't have the capability to destroy what is deep beneath the ground because they don't have the bombers and they don't have the heavy munitions that are necessary to finish the job. That's something that the U.S. has. And right now, at least from what we're seeing, the Trump administration has disavowed the operation. They've said that they that they didn't take part in it.
That's a very good thing that they're doing. They're disavowing it. And real quick, shit. We got brother Lee Lance coming in with the dollar dues coming in. Let me go ahead and bring up and see if he put a message to it. Pulling it up, one sec. And here it is. Dues for Tiffany and Lee. Yes, sir. I very much appreciate you, kind sir, with the Cash App. The dollar dues are paid, kind sir. Shit.
In it that I've seen conflicting reports about whether they knew in advance or not, but I do think that there's kind of an open question now as to whether the administration decides, okay, we're going to finish this, we're going to mop it up, or whether they go back and they start talking to the Iranians again to say, look, you've been hurt, you've been crippled, this is the time to wave the white flag to end your nuclear program. That's where the leverage is. I don't know which way they go right now. I'm sure there's a debate happening right now at the White House, at the Situation Room. I'm sure they're still talking about that at this moment. But in the meantime, the nuclear talks that were scheduled on Sunday in Oman between the U.S. and Iran, they've been canceled, not a surprise. And everything seems to be in suspension while the Israelis continue their work from the air.
One thing that's interesting, you touched on this here, President Trump, his administration, the U.S. in general, there are kind of conflicting reports as to whether they did know in advance that this was going to happen.
They did know in
advance.
know
at 11 a.m. Eastern time, that is when we expect President Trump to meet there with the National Security Council. Obviously, classified information going to be discussed. Cameras not allowed inside. It is a closed-door meeting. But how significant is it to see President Trump meeting with the National Security Council on this just hours after the attack? What does that say?
Well, I mean, it says that we're at a potential crisis, right? I mean, the Iranians, I think, fully believe that that the U.S. was complicit in some way. And let's be clear. I mean, the Israelis are using American munitions.
You know, Iran is they're already saying that it's America. It's America that's, doing this kind of shit. That's what Iran's saying. This is America's war kind of bullshit. And it's like, hold on. You don't fucking lump us up into that shit.
They're using American platforms. And we all know that the Israelis coordinate very closely in terms of intelligence. I'm sure that whatever the Israelis saw in terms of a possible Iranian breakout, they shared it with the United States. The U.S. was probably able to confirm it. I heard rumblings here that they didn't get into specifics with me, and probably for good reason, but they said that something had happened recently that had caused significant concern in both systems, in both the U.S. and Israeli systems. So, I think we now know probably what that is. They were speaking very euphemistically. Now I think we probably have a better sense. But I do think there is an open question for the Trump administration.
Much love, Brother Lee. We'll see you on the flip side, my man.
About how much they want to get involved. We continue to hear from at least certain individuals inside the administration that they want to keep their powder dry for a possible confrontation with China. That Middle East...
Bro, if you get some crazy-ass footage... Oh, my God. If you get some crazy-ass footage of like that, you got to send me some footage so that I can put it on the show. That'd be insane. Boots on the ground, no one else got this footage. You know what I mean? Like that, no other media outlet got this. No, it would be awesome, though, if you do happen to get footage of that, which I don't wish that any type of barrage of missiles come your way. That's not what I'm hoping for. But if you do happen to film that and that happens, holy shit.
Conflicts seem like a diversion of resources or a distraction. I happen to think in this case, the removal of a nuclear threat from one of China and Russia's top allies, I actually see the strategic wisdom of getting involved on a limited basis for the U.S. if the administration is inclined to do it. But in the meantime, I think it's safe to say that the Israelis have done remarkable work here. The only other thing that I might add, Josh, about this is, as we understand it, the Israelis were able to assemble a forward base of operatives with drones. And that those drones were apparently involved in the targeting of some of these top officials and some of these nuclear sites and some of these military sites. This is remarkably similar to what we saw coming out of Russia not too long ago with the Ukrainians pulling off a very similar operation. I don't know whether there's
with the drones
connection, but I would say that it's hard to ignore the interconnectivity of all of these fronts that we're watching right now as embattled democracies try to fend off aggressive enemy actors that are aligned against the United States and their allies.
And what you're looking at on your screen is actually a live look at Baghdad, Iraq at this hour here. It's the fortified green zone area, which is, for folks not familiar with that, where the U.S. Embassy is located. Iraq saying that more than 100...
Wow. Interesting. I wonder which building it is over here. Totally interesting. But we got Sleeping Joe, by the way. Good morning to you and happy Friday.
Iranian drones crossed its airspace. What is the role here in other maybe surrounding areas as they do see these drones fly overhead? Do they just ignore it? Do they take part in shooting them down? How does all of that kind of work?
Well, we have CENTCOM, Central Command. That is the U.S. military command that is responsible for the Middle East. They have been on high alert. We actually know that they were on high alert even maybe 24 hours before this strike took place. You may recall.
And I appreciate you, GEG. Thank you for that.
There were orders that were handed down to all of the surrounding bases in the region, and all of the embassies where officials were told to stay near a shelter, to have food and water prepared, that there were potential activities or threats that were coming. We didn't know what they were, but apparently the U.S. had some inkling of it. CENTCOM was undoubtedly involved in spreading that alert around the region. I do think that we saw at least the Jordanians shooting down drones that entered into their airspace. It's actually, I mean, at the end of the day, it is the responsibility, it's the right of every country anywhere around the world to shoot down things that enter into their airspace that are not authorized.
Yeah, right.
So we can say with certainty that the Jordanians have done this. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Saudis take out certain threats from the air. Maybe the Iraqis too, for that matter. These are all countries that are at least technically part of the U.S.-led alliance. Some more committed to it than others. I think Iraq is.
Yeah, remember when that whole thing with the drones were going on, the mysterious drones on the East Coast and all that, and everyone's going, wish a motherfucker would down here in the South, because if those drones come flying into our territory, we're going boom, boom, boom. Yeah, we're playing skeet up in here, you know? Shit.
Kind of a holdout. The Saudis, the Emiratis, the Jordanians are close partners with the United States.
What's up, Sage Outcast?
We have an entire
Good
region
morning.
right now that is on alert. Interestingly, though, General Kurilla, the head of Central, the general in charge of Central Command, just canceled his visit to Israel, probably for safety concerns. But we do get a sense that the coordination right now is intense and ongoing.
All right, Jonathan Schanzer there at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Anything else you want to add about?
No, that was perfectly consolidated. Perfect. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I can't thank you guys enough for this morning, as always, man. I really hope that you guys enjoy your Friday and your weekend. Listen, there's going to be members only tomorrow morning, so make sure you guys, if you guys are members in the Breakfast Club, make sure you guys tune in tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, the best time, by the way. That'd be 11 a.m. Eastern. That we are doing our members-only live stream. Of course, it's going to be a good-ass time. I don't know which way I'm going to go with it yet. You know, maybe I'll do a poll in the Discord or something like that. If we're going to do, like, police, or if we're going to do some 304 hair hat-wearing motherfuckers. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We always get down with our bad selves, though. It's a good time, so make sure you guys don't miss out on that. So, with that being said, make sure you guys stick around. We're going to be rating our buddy Carney's ride, so make sure you guys stick around for that. And hit the like button on the way out. Very much appreciate all of your guys' engagement, man. And thank you guys for making this very show happen, man. I'm very honored and blessed to be able to do what I do. So, with that being said, God bless everyone. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning for more of the craziness, of course, but the world's madness comes back Monday morning. So, we'll see you guys. Much love.
From the depths of darkness.